Hello there everybody, this is Grant, also known as the Collector75. Welcome to another Transformers review. This is a review I've been wanting to do for absolutely ages, perhaps even years, probably from when I first even started on YouTube. This is of course the Mega Pretender Autobot, bloody hell, I've forgotten his name then, VROOM. Yes, it's the Autobot VROOM. It's one that like I say, I've been wanting to do for ages, but unfortunately I bought this one a very long time ago, and it was a time when I was just trying to get the figures really. I weren't too bothered if I didn't have their weapons or not, so I bought him very cheap from a guy in Shepperton actually, probably a couple of quid, and that mainly just included the main body, the inner robot, and probably, obviously, yeah, there's the inner robot there, and probably just the shell and maybe the gun. I can't remember if I picked up the main gun somewhere else. I can't really remember. It didn't have the greatest stickers, but it was in very good condition. So, and I wasn't too bothered that. Well, I didn't actually realise that it was missing pieces back then, mainly because I didn't have any references. This is long before the internet was invented, I believe. So just trying to find any references to what weapons went what, you know, there was nothing back then, so I didn't know that it was missing pieces anyway. But to cut a long story short, I finally managed to get the pieces. So I got some repro labels first of all, and I repro labelled this guy up because, well, this body had absolutely no labels, and the labels it did have were not that great. Once I got them, I found this little gun on eBay. That cost me the grand total of £10 from a guy in the Netherlands, I believe. I bought a few bits off him actually. It's very cheap considering how you put this little gun on auction like in England or in the USA, and they go for about £20 or £30, and yet this guy had it on the Netherlands, and I picked it up really cheap at a tenner, and that included the postage, which was really good. Then it came down to this tiny little spare wheel just down here. I was looking for months, probably about the best part of a year now I've been looking for this. Finally saw one the other day, and I managed to get it for a bit more than I really wanted to pay my girlfriend. Not that she did earn that, she certainly didn't understand why I paid £30 bloody for that little spare wheel. But believe me, I think it's worth it. It's completed this toy at last. Anyway, that's enough about me rambling on about how I managed to actually get all the bits of this fella. This is the Mega Pretender Autobot VROOM. Of course, the Mega Pretenders just took the Pretender stage one step further, and had the inner robot combining and transforming with the outer shell, which was pretty cool actually. I preferred it in a way. Right, so that said, this is him in his super combined mode of motorcycle and sidecar. I never ever thought, and I'm pretty certain that even most people have thought, that they would ever make a Transformers motorcycle, because back in the G1 days they just didn't make motorcycles hardly at all really, mainly because they always ended up looking really shit, and they were usually. This is a case in point. And let alone have a sidecar on it. I don't know, I was maybe expecting something out of George and Mildred or something like that, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so this is its super combined mode, and it's not too bad. It does roll along pretty well, and it stands up on its own, which is cool. I love the gun on the sidecar, that's pretty cool. And this is where you put the other tiny little gun. But that's it. So let's take him off this super combined mode. We'll take the little gun off, put that to the side. And you just take off the sidecar, like that, and you disconnect this wheel. It just is a nice little clip-on feature there, which is pretty cool. Put that aside, take off the gun, and then you take off this piece, which is just held on by a couple of tabs, if I can get it off. Can be a little problematic sometimes, and that just easily slides on and off. He's got a little, just a tab there with a little groove just in there. Pretty cool. Just put that aside. This is the inner robot. This transforms into a car of some sort, though it's not the great. It's not a car I've ever bloody seen. That spare wheel now goes on the top, and I suppose I'm not quite sure exactly what that's supposed to be. I know it's supposed to be a car. It just looks a bit shit. I mean, for the longest time, I never actually knew what the fuck this was. I knew it was a car, but just what kind of car? And it's got a wheel on top where the, I don't know, windshield roof should be. I don't know. You can put this gun in here. No, it doesn't stay too well. Well, there you go. Maybe it does. Can you put this one on? I tried it earlier and it didn't really stay in. No, it will just flop out. But anyway, there's him in his little car mode, if you can call it that. Let's get on to the main guy. This is VROOM, and then what you do with this, you leave them there. These are, I don't know what these are. These some sort of weird like panniers for him, I don't know, or thrusters, I don't know, because you end up with 4 gaping holes right in the back there. And it's a very strange looking motorbike, if I must say. Anyway, it does get a little better looking when you put this back on, which is like its rear seat, it's kind of. And then it does fill out the back a little. You can then put this little gun, if you wanted to, in this little hole there. And then if you didn't want to put the gun on him there, you can put the gun on him here. Like so. And then you've got some futuristic motorcycle. It is really let down by the back wheel, because it just looks so out of place. Other than that, it didn't look that bad, if I'm honest. This guy, once you've got all the bits to him, he looks better than I mentioned. Crossblades is another story, but I'll come to that when I review that one. I have already filmed a review for that, but I might refilm it. I need some bits for it, and I've seen some on eBay, so I might get them. But like I said, this guy's another story. Oh, sorry, Crossblades is another story. I can't stand that bloody toy. Anyway, right, so let's transform this into Robo Mode. Easily, you take that off. You flip out these panniers. I'm going to call them panniers. And then just flip them around like that, forming the lower half of the robot leg. And that is almost it, actually. Then you disconnect this. This wheel comes off, and we'll set that aside. These just rotate around to the back, and you can put them anywhere you fancy. The arms are just held on by a little tab just in there, and so once you disconnect that like that, you've got to pull them out slightly and then rotate them down. Then you come around to the back here. This is easier if I shoot from around here. You split the front of the motorcycle, and they rotate down, forming like shoulder pads or shoulder guards. And then you take the front wheel, and now you just rotate that all the way back. And that is, and you can rotate these up, I suppose, just gets them out of the way, I suppose. At some point, there we go. If you put them there, don't look too bad then. Right, so you've got that, and that is the basic VROOM in robot mode. Well, it's out of shell mode anyway. Right, so we're going to leave him here for a second. We'll come back to that. Then we're going to transform this little fella. This is the main robot, of course, and he's got quite an easy transformation. Just take that up like that and fold that back. Actually, yeah, we'll just do it like that. You're supposed to fold it a little bit more back than that, but we'll come to that in a minute when I put him in the actual robot shell. You can pull the legs out. They can be a little bit stiff. Then flip down the little feet. Oh, just get down, you bastard. Right, there we go. So this is little robot. The spare wheel, or the little wheel, will fit onto this little tab. It's got a little hole just inside there. And that will fit in there, forming some kind of shield or something, whatever you want it to do. And then you can take the little gun. I'm going to take that big gun off there for the moment. And then he's got a little weapon. And that ain't too bad, is it? You ain't going to get no articulation, really, not in the legs. They do move slightly, but not too much. As usual, he'll only move at the shoulders. He does have a gaping post sticking out in the midsection of his chest. And, you know, as a little robot, he's not too bad. These days, he's probably just under a basic size toy, almost a basic size toy, in fact. But it doesn't look that bad. It's not the worst by any means. Crossblades, again, he fails on nearly every level, which is a shame because it should have been really good. Going to put him, well, actually, no, we're not going to put him aside because that is everything that I can show you about the little robot. So now we're going to put that inside the main outer shell. So we're going to rotate that up, flip the arms back, as you usually have to do with the Pretenders. Someone did ask me, I can never remember people's names when they ask me questions on YouTube. It's nothing bad, I just have this problem with names. I can never remember names. Faces I'm really good with, but names always escape me. Did ask me if you can put the inner robots from like Thunderwing inside each other. I haven't got it here, unfortunately, to test, but I'm pretty certain you can't, because this guy looks a little different. Well, they look all alike, but he's a bit more bigger on the back here. You probably could, maybe, to be honest, because they all do look roughly the same when you put these inside. Anyway, so you open that up, and now that you've got this guy in this position, as you can see, you fold the this back piece just round past the arms and everything. And he should now fit quite easily in here, and he just sort of drops down into place and fits in there. And to be honest, I actually quite like the look of this one when you close his back up, because that is the idea of a Pretender, isn't it? You put the robot in almost exactly if he was controlling this big mech, and I really do like that. Anyway, right, so that's him in there. Now we can start adding bits. I'm not quite sure where you put this little bloody small wheel. Maybe it'll fit on there as... yeah, there you go. It'll fit on there, won't it, as a little something. This has to fit on here somehow, and I can never remember how. Oh yes, it's got two little holes just there where my thumb is, or my fingernail is. And it fits just in the grooves on the back here. So you've got one on the outside, one on the inside. And this should fit just neatly in between them all. It can be a bit problematic to get it in there, but as you can see, it ends up with that. Right, just so we carry on. Once you've got that on there, you can then put the little gun back in that little hole. That gives him a nice little added back cannon, which is pretty cool. Then you take his big gun and you add the spare, well, the large spare wheel, and he's got a tiny little tab just on there, and then you put that whichever way round you fancy. You can probably put it that way, and then it looks like kind of like an old Tommy gun or some kind of machine gun where you've got the ammo clip on the top there, and that looks pretty cool actually. And then you put that in his head, and there we have Pretender VROOM. And in this mode he's not too bad. The arms, that's about the only place you'll get any kind of articulation, and it don't look too bad. Could have done with some paint applications or something, or maybe just trying to hide the hands when they're in motorcycle mode, just to give them a bit more of a transformation into this mode. The legs, you're not going to get any articulation at all with the legs, so they're pretty damn solid. And that's it really. Let me just give you a close-up of the face. There you go. He's got not a bad face. This is the only Mega Pretender that didn't get a Japanese release, i.e. as Black Shadow or Blue Bacchus, or however you pronounce that one. This would have been pretty cool as a Decepticon if they'd redone it and took away all the humanoid features and replaced it just with robotic elements. That would have been pretty cool. Not the worst by any means, but certainly not the best, unfortunately. There's elements that are good to it, but I just don't think the motorcycle with the sidecar was a particularly great mode, and not when you had Thunderwing. Thunderwing was the best. He was a good spaceship with a little spaceship that you could make a bigger spaceship, and then looked a pretty okayish robot, well, out of shell mode, and a little robot mode for the ship, which looked okay, and you put them together and it still looked okay. It had its few faults, but it was still pretty good. It was still amazingly playable. Can you really play with a strange motorcycle? I suppose you can, but it's just that it looks very, not kidified, but definitely on the way there, which is, it's just can be a shame. Especially like when you have the original like first series G1 figures next to this guy, they do look completely different, which is just a shame really. But that's the spice of life, isn't it? Change, I suppose, which, you know, is a good thing in so many different ways. Anyway, so this has been the Mega Pretender VROOM, a review I've been wanting to do for absolutely years, and now I've finally managed to do it with a complete figure, which is pretty cool. So anyway, this has been Graham, the Collector 75, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.